And I said it before, it's just so intuitive. They're in it for a career, not a stepping stone, not for beer
Yes,
money Friday night. So the motivation is just completely different. That's what really was a light bulb moment for me. You mentioned culture, and I wanted to ask you specifically about that. Why is culture so important? You've mentioned it a number of times today.
certainly culture is made up of both skill and character. So, and sometimes we interview primarily for skill and forget all about character. And when I talk about character, that's an ambiguous term. What I mean by character is embracing your company's values. And those values can be things like commitment and hard work, truthfulness, ownership, follow through. I don't know what your values might be, but you certainly want to find people before you hire them already embrace those kinds of values. So if they do, it's easier to create culture where skill is present and you're enhancing the skill. Character is also present and you're enhancing the character. What do I mean by that? We're being the kinds of people that our customers like to deal with. So one of the things that I talked about, for example, in our list of values was truthfulness. Some people would call that honesty, candidness. Some degree, we live in a culture of that has a default for distrust. We don't trust our neighbors, we don't trust our boss, we don't trust our political leaders, et cetera, et cetera. We start when we meet people with a cautiousness and a default around distrust. But we want to create a culture of trust and truthfulness. And one example here, and we'll go back to talking about contact centers, we want to make sure that the way we conduct ourselves in business, embracing those values, are mirrored over into our outsourced partner. So you're going to have to find leaders who exemplify those values when you go looking for a partner. You can't just teach it to the front line and the leaders aren't aligned with them. Your front line is going to follow leadership. Here's a real life example of this, and it's a little controversial, but I'll share it anyway. So sometimes in our outsourced partners, we will tell our employees and outsourcers, you can't tell the customer, you can't be truthful with them about where you're located. We don't want you to tell them, or we just want you to say, I can't answer you. So here's what I've learned, and this is part of your values. So truthfulness isn't just the absence of deception, it's being completely forthright. That's what honesty and truthfulness is. And so if your employees perceive that you aren't allowing them to be truthful with the customer, they have to wonder what you're not being truthful with them about. If this is part of the culture that sometimes we lie or we deceive or we twist the truth, your employees probably aren't trusting what you tell them either. So in many of our contact centers, we let our employees tell customers because it's part of the value of being completely truthful. I'm in Honduras because the truth of the matter, my employee is proudly Honduran. Now, my customers may not like that, but it aligns with our value. And if I ask you, Steve, not to identify yourself as a Honduran or to feel guilty or bad because you did expose a customer to the truth, then you have this conflicted set of values. And you want to find one that you make sure that your values as a company are being fully embraced, and then make sure that your partner embraces those same values.
I'm so glad that we're ending on this note because there's trust with a BPO partner. There's actually trust just with leaders and their agents too, to go off script if they need to do the kind of things that they know they're on the front line. They have the intuition how to address that customer and what that customer is asking and what they really need. The trust issue runs through the whole gamut.
It does.